Right, how are you all doing? Things just seem to keep falling into my lap. Topic-wise, alright? I didn't really know what I wanted to do, what I wanted to say. And then I thought, there was a problem I had, right? It was a problem. Problem got solved, and I was like, let's have a wee chat about that. Audio. If there's anything that anyone should really know, there's not really anything that anyone should know about me, but I like audio. I like puzzles. I like putting things together and making things work when they probably shouldn't, okay? I've been gaffing setups together for decades now to get a reasonable quality out of next to nothing, and I'm still doing it. I have access to higher-end equipment, but I like to prove a point that you can get a decent job out of low-end gear. And I want to show that today. Pet peeve, bad audio, sin of choice, wrath. It just really gets on my wick when someone's got not so great audio. In the year 2021, if you've got more than £100 worth of audio equipment on your desk, you have no excuse for bad audio. Realistically, in the grand scheme of things, if you've got about 45 quid's worth of audio gear on your desk, you've got no excuse for bad audio. Alright, no excuse for terrible audio. I'll give you bad because that can be an environmental thing, or what we're going to blabber on about today. I've got boxes full of audio equipment and camera equipment. Stacks of the stuff, from the lowest of the low, you know, USB sound cards to several £100 mixing boards or audio interfaces. And I was like, right, so I've used super low end gear, as I say, for a long time, and some of the higher end stuff is like, you need a proprietary driver, it's not recognized on this setup, if it is going to work you have to do this or that, and so this is too much faff. Let's go back to basics. So what we've done here is really cheap. On my desk, Behringer Euphoria UMC 22 audio interface. It's Behringer's second cheapest USB audio interface that they make. It's got brilliant preamps for the money. It's like between 30 and 40 pounds. It's fantastic. They are quiet. Really quiet. The microphone that I'm using is a Behringer Ultra Voice XM 8500. And I've used I think it's the 1800S for years too. Only for vocals. I can't vouch for them for stuff like recording guitars and stuff like that. But for vocal work, they're pretty solid. And for the price, they're fantastic. The 1800Ss, I believe they're the 1800Ss. They come in a 3-pack for about £30. But I can't vouch for the recent versions of them. So I picked up some bits because I looked at one of the only 1800S that I could find. It's one of the ones I dropped, and I was like, you know, I'll leave it in the box. I'll get the 8500, and we'll see how that goes. And I plug it in, and I bust out one of my old interfaces, the UMC 22. And I had higher end interfaces laying about. I've actually got a 204 HD in here and a Focusrite Scarlett, 2i2 3rd gen, and some other bits and bobs, Zoom H6, all that, just like literally within arm's reach underneath my desk. I went for the 2i2, and I plug in the microphone, and there's this really annoying sound coming from it. In fact, you can probably hear it if I go. In fact, actually, let's amplify this. So 1 second. Can you hear that buzzing noise? Now, where it's coming from should have been obvious, because I've sussed this problem out, but I want to tell you the story of how we sussed it out. I can hear that noise right now, like right now, but because it's such a regular thing in my room, I've blocked it out, I've tuned it out. But it's electrical noise, and sometimes when you have a problem, you really have to start digging outside of, especially audio, you have to really start digging outside of just your microphone, your cable, and your interface. If you've checked those and everything's pretty good, you're going to have to start looking further afield. I'd tried the 204, I tried the Focusrite, and the buzz was still there. It was really doing my Swede in. Just a quick word of warning, I'm about to clap, and for the sake of going over this, so I'm not taking the mickey, I'm not going to edit the clap out. So if you're wearing your, just, sorry, you won't go deaf. Promise, alright? I'll keep it relatively quiet, alright? So, grab a camera. It's just an old Canon. Again, we're here proving points. Right, on. Recording. That should do the job. Right. So there's the setup I've got going at the moment. It's Doomslayer on the floor. You should still be able to hear the whine, just to prove that it's not that camera doing the video here. 1 second. There you go. So you can see that. Logged into Steam. Right. We want to get rid of that audio buzz. Here's what the problem was. So you can see that it's still hooked up. Red cable. Red cable. Right. See that monitor? It's always had a bit of a buzz. Always had a bit of a buzz. Ever since I used it on my old Linux gaming PC, streamy rig years ago, I was using a Behringer 802 USB mixer. I like Behringer gear because it's cheap and you can just kick it down a flight of stairs and it still works, right? I always had a bit of interference. The electricity in this house is turd. The wiring in this house is absolutely terrible. Interference is everywhere, absolutely everywhere. But so look, if you're not, things aren't shielded and all that. If you're using like a guitar with single coil pickups, there'll be noise everywhere. It's fantastic. It's a dream to do audio in this place. Right. So I'm going to turn up turn up the mic, so you can definitely hear the whiny sound. Okay, so hang on, let's come over here. Can't really see. I've turned that up. Alright, should now be able to hear it. Now watch as that sound goes away. Reach around the base. Right, that cable here. It's actually plugged into Doomslayer down there. It's a pink cable. Watch. There you go. The whine in my audio should have disappeared. Okay. Turn that off. Someone will say, but Skaz, surely if you plug that monitor in using something that ain't your PC, because it's a USB powered monitor, that sound won't be a thing anyway. Not true. Not true, because even if you run it on battery, it's still producing enough interference for that whine to make it into the microphone anyway. If you unplug the microphone, it's not affecting the interface or traveling anywhere else other than through this microphone. That noise is always there. You unplug the mic, the sound, it just goes away. Regular preamp noise would make that noise all the time if it was coming from the box. I just want to quickly prove a point that whilst there is a light hum coming from the monitor, that's not exactly what you're hearing here. Okay, just in case. Okay, so right now monitor is plugged into Doomslayer. You should hear a pretty significant hum. I'll turn it up and then we'll switch over to the battery, and you will or should notice that there is actually quite a difference in how that noise affects the audio based on where it's being powered from, how it's being powered. Yes, there is still a whine, but it shouldn't be as right there. So, ready? Monitor. Make sure the environment you're in has decent wiring. Make sure the electrics are solid. So if you ever got to wire up a gig or whatever and you start to get noise, probably it's just dirty power. It's a joy of everything. But point here is that this entire rig is using, well, with the exception of the PC itself, is using really, really, really cheap stuff. Cheap lights, cheap cameras, cheap microphones, cheap audio interface. You have no excuse for at least reasonable, decent-ish audio these days. None. I just wanted to tell the story, really, of how I figured out that screen was what was causing my problems. So I was like, dude, don't tell me the microphone's broken already. The old Ultra Voice didn't have this much trouble. Like, I didn't have any of this noise on the last microphone. What's going on? Because I literally bought this microphone a couple days ago. I was like, no, it can't be broken out of the box. They used to make pretty decent, like, dynamic microphones. Dynamic meaning it doesn't need phantom power from your interface. So you can run it off of a pasty. Some of these microphones, you can just literally plug them into the line import on your computer and bickety bam, job done. You've got pretty solid audio. But the pre's in this box, the UMC 22 are fantastic. I still recommend the 202 and the 204 if you're using Windows or Mac because they're better drivers. But you know, yeah, I just don't see the point in buying just a USB microphone. I like to have a bit more range, a bit more flexibility. Like right now, I could plug my guitar into the UMC 22. Can't do that into a USB microphone. I have to have another way to plug my guitar or whatever into a box. I like to have options when I'm working with stuff. But if you want decent audio these days, it shouldn't cost you a lot. And you shouldn't need to go out there and spend a few £100. And if you do spend more than £100 and your audio sucks, get it sorted. Really do get it sorted, because there's no excuse anymore. And literally just something as dodgy as a bad USB cable or some bad wiring could be enough to throw out your audio. Don't just think, oh, I need to get a better microphone or I need to get whatever. It's just these things are prone to interference. Sort it out. It's fun little puzzles. I love fun little puzzles. How to get things to work better than they probably should. Yeah. It just really gets on my nerves when I hear bad audio. Really gets on my nerves. I don't mind a little bit of background noise. You can't help the environment that you're in. Makes me angry if I can hear everything else in the background, especially in my own audio. It does my nut in. I am OCD when it comes to audio, but that's why that buzz was really getting on my nerves. By the way, these monitors are actually pretty solid. It's a Mage Dock USB powered monitor, usually pretty solid. The monitor in front's a C-Force monitor, USB-C powered, and then the big monitor's a Aorus thing, so that's not cheap. But like, I would normally run this kind of setup and get this kind of result off of cheap little Lenovo ThinkPad X230 with like Linux or whatever on it that you want to use. This thing's ancient, absolutely ancient. You can get them for like 80 quid off of eBay, and you can get the same results I'm getting right now with this. You've got no excuse. No excuses. Same with video, realistically. You don't need to go out and spend a small fortune on big cameras. You can use a web camera or, you know, something like this, an older DSLR that you can get for, you know, 100, 200 quid. Doing things on a budget to prove a point. Yep, rambling. Absolutely rambling. I'm now going to go live, though. It's stream time, and yeah. It's just, yeah. Sorry, there was rhyme and reason to this before I sat here all day going, yeah, how should I say that? And it didn't work. Just sort out your audio, please. And if you can, actually, next tip, sort out your bloody lighting. Please, never leave your camera in auto. And if you are using a web camera, don't leave it in auto. It's got no idea what to do. Just set it in manual and get lights. Just like cheap ones, desk lamps and stuff. They'll do the job. Just a fucking clamp with a bulb on it. Stick it somewhere and that'll be great. But always set your webcam to manual. Because it's thick. It's really, really thick, and that'll give you a really, really turd image. But scares most of your images in the dark. I like low key. Right, I'm off. So I hope you're well, and I'll see you all in the next one. Time to go play some Mad Max or something. I don't know. Yeah. No audio cleanup in this one. This is raw, right as it is. And I hate that buzz that was at the start of the video. I really hate that buzz. Kind of, you know, makes me twitch a little bit. Hate audio interference.